But basically, MVC2 is going to be back for its 10th appearance. And you got some people that's just like, look, why don't we just call this thing the Capcom Classic? Like, y'all done gave in the 3 times that we done brought back these classic games. Now it's going to be 2 of the games are going to be a Marvel versus Capcom because we know the first one was MVC3. And then after that, it was Third Strike. And now we got MVC2. So when are these throwback games going to be something else other than Capcom games? Because a lot of people want CVS2 to be there. So could CVS2 be next year and we get 4 Capcom games in a row? Um, who knows? But I mean, you got to be strategic with it. I mean, you don't want your classic game to be like original Guilty Gear and then only 10 people show up. No disrespect. But so how do you guys feel about this? Wait, I said no
OG
disrespect.
Melty Blood. Catch us again.
Oh,
But yeah, bring back Killer Instinct on the 64. But
right.
yeah, so how do you guys feel about that? MVC2 being there. Should we just go ahead and start calling it the Capcom Classic at EVO? Or do y'all have faith that, next year we'll get another fighting game? And what would you actually like to see that be possibly? So we'll start with you, Mr. MC Mason.
I think number one, I kind of feel like, yeah, MVC2 has been featured a little bit, like it's been featured quite a lot, and I think it'd be kind of nice for them to kind of like move it over so we could maybe get another classic game, like you were saying before, like Capcom versus SNK 2 is like one of those games that is kind of goated within the FGC community, at least as far as I know. Right, I know it's like a lot. Some people don't consider it, I guess, on the same level as Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Uh,
It's
I I
smoking.
actually I actually like it more than Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Um, just in general, I think like number one, a lot of the character models look like they belong there in the game. And it's like the music is like the music. I would say like you could take or leave either. You know what I mean? Like either one. Like there's give and take on each game, but I like the music in that game as well. Um, I would, you know, I would say I don't know, man. I mean, like the fact that you got like characters like Ryuji Yamazaki in that game, like kind of like puts it in this. It's in a special place in my heart. I'll put it that way. Um, I mean, like there
Shout
are
out to
other
Phil
games that,
Collins.
huh?
Said shout out to Phil Collins.
Yeah, shout out to Phil Collins. I, I I would say like another game, like we were the game that we mentioned like last episode, that I wouldn't mind seeing in a spot like that I mean isn't as old, but I would say it's kind of going getting that direction. Uh Capcom versus Tatsunoko versus Capcom, like I wouldn't mind seeing that game, show up like in a spot like that, in a retro game spot like that. I mean, it's not as old necessarily, but it would be kind of cool.
I mean,
Another game that I was
EVC3 came out in 2011, so
oh, see, there you go. So, I don't know, man. Uh it all depends, right? Because on Mr. Rex on Max was saying, you got to be like strategic because you want to get a lot of people to play the game, and the whole point is like to encourage a lot of signups. So if you have a game that maybe isn't as popular and you put it in there and then not as many people join, you're just gonna kind of be like, oh well, gee, you know. Uh, I mean, a game like if we were going to step outside the box, a game that I think would be really cool to have in place of Marvel vs. Capcom 2, which isn't quite going away from that. I mean, why not put like Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite and Beyond there? I mean, it's like, I feel like while Capcom was working on trying to like charge us again for the exact same game, like we had Maximilian and them trying to come up with like basically fix the game that Capcom already made to make it more palatable for everybody right now. It's just really, really funny to me. And I think like I think it'd be kind of cool to see that game kind of like come back into like the spotlight because now that it has like, I mean, I saw the way they did with they have like Venom looking like the 90s Venom from the old Spider-Man cartoon from for me it was Channel 7 KDFI and all that, Fox Kids. Oh, amazing. Anyway, that's my take, guys.
All right, it's on you, Mr. Gaming Lip.
So as far as I'm concerned about Marvel 2 and how I feel about it. All right. So I I am super excited to see Marvel 2 have a spot there. The collection came out last year. I played a good bit of it. Actually, like the first time I actually got kind of competitive in it because playing going online and playing ranked. And again, the same with with the small, well, fairly small amount of players, but a lot of the players on there were good players. I even ran into Duck Vader and got Vaderized, got demolished. But of course, that's gonna happen. But it's just dope being able to get into the ring with these players and just try to get better and figure the game out more. Um, so yeah, I'm super excited. I'm on a high for MVC2 right now. There was like the first game also I think that I found footage of on YouTube that was competitive. It was kind of the game that kind of got me into like, wait, there's a scene for fighting games where people gather and they try to get better and be, more optimal with their play and compete. And I mean, it was a rough scene. Don't get me wrong. It was a boy, it was rough, but it was a lot of stuff going, some smack talk. I'm talking about some smack talk, but it was like so competitive. That's why those players were so good. They just had like this burning desire to be better than everybody else. And of course, Justin Wong was like, "Hey, I'm up here at the top, guy. So appreciate it. Come up here and try to take my throne if you want to." But I'm excited. I'm really hyped for the LA event where they're gonna have like technically the best of the best of Marvel to compete. Really excited to see that. Even when they had the event at last year's EVO, I believe, with showing off the Marvel collection, they had Yipes and Justin Wong play some matches versus each other, and that was dope to see. I'm like, man, this is so good seeing these people get back into this game. Watching Yipes just do and one crossovers with Magneto, it's just wild. Um, so I'm definitely hyped to see that. And it is a little weird that we've just getting them at Capcom games. But I mean, if we're gonna be honest, a lot of the classic games Capcom was cooking. So they have a lot from their repertoire, their library. So we're probably gonna see a lot of Capcom games. Rexon mentioned it earlier. The Capcom Fighting Collection 2 comes out this year, and it's got a lot of classic bangers on there. We got Power Stone, we got CVS 2, which is the one people probably want to see the next the most, I would imagine. So, it's got a lot of stuff on it. Even Darkstalkers. Darkstalkers could take a spot. Now, what I would want to see on there is there a problem with that, Rex? You,
Yeah,
you
like
want
what was
that?
that
It's
face?
your take. Let you finish your take.
um, Killer Instinct, specifically Killer Instinct Gold. If I can get some of that action right there, get that TJ bow 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 bow. Get some of that. Oh man, that I would love to see that as a classic spot. I didn't even realize I was watching a video of Max's where he was talking about the scene and how there's like a difference between like when you want to play a fighting game, it's kind of become so convenient to just go online and hit rank, go do casual matches. But it's like what happens when you can't do that? And now we have other avenues. More than likely, the first thing you go to a Discord, find a Discord community. There's probably going to be people playing the game. There's like a KI SNES like channel that like they have like competitive SNES. It's like the main way to play. And he said they get like thousands of views. I'm like, apparently people still play these games and want to see them. Also, UMK3. If I can get some of that, if I can get some of that old school Mortal Kombat action, now that right there, that's another game. When I first saw the competitive scene for UMK3, I was like, my mind was blown. People doing infinite. I'm like, I didn't even know you could play this game this way. And it opened up my mind to like just like what was possible in these games. And I just love seeing it be done. I still love watching old school Mortal Kombat be played. Watching Reptile just run up and just infinite you from the little acid ball. Watching people do block stream pressure. It's beautiful. So if I were to see any other games, it'd be those two and a Soul Calibur game, like a classic Soul Calibur game. Maybe Tekken 3. That would definitely be a great one to see. So yeah, I am superbly hyped for some Marvel 2.
Finally, it's my turn. Um,
Oh, here we go with Skip. It's my turn.
but I understand. If you want to talk about the most classic fighting games of all time, I mean, Capcom is going to have a large majority of them. If you want to throw an event and it's like, hey, we want to we want to play a old school game that's going to have a better chance of bringing in a large number of people, it's probably a better chance you go to Capcom game. But my question is, how long y'all plan on having this MVC? This not MVC. How long y'all plan on having this throwback games at EVO? Like how long y'all plan on keeping it going for? Because honestly, y'all doing it like you only finna do it for the next 5 years and you're trying to put the biggest classic games of all time in it. Like, I mean, if it's not going away, why are we shoving all these Capcom games back to back? Like, why are we doing it? Like, there are other classic games that ain't Capcom games. Now I understand, like, well, it's just the time and the MVC collection came out and all the other stuff. The game white hot right now. I mean, we can't help that Capcom was gonna release that. I mean, understand, cool, but y'all just had MVC3 like 2 years ago. And then like you go break that with Third Strike and then come back with another MVC game. It's like, what we doing? I mean, I feel like you disrespecting the other fighting game legends. Soul Calibur 2 a better game than MVC2. I don't care what nobody say. I don't care what nobody say. You know,
I'm gonna have
um,
to agree with that.
appreciate it. You can. I mean, some people would debate Tekken 3 or Tekken 5 is probably more of a classic, better game than MVC2. I mean, it's debatable. So it's not like we sitting here and it's just like, oh, we ain't got no options. It got to be another Capcom game, bro. In the top 5 fighting games of all time, I mean, I just named you like 2 that people would debate are in there that aren't Capcom games. Now I forgot my full list that I did, because I don't know. It's easy to remember forget what was your like top 5 fighting games of all time. Because typically, if you're somebody in the scene that just enjoy it, like you just kind of be like, oh, this is one of the greatest games of all time. It's like you don't have a list in your head all the time. But I will tell you that Soul Calibur 2 is like a top 3 fighting game. I've been telling y'all that. Be honest. I've been telling y'all that Soul Calibur 2 is a top 3 fighting game by all time, and it probably ain't nowhere in the third since we've been doing input output. Why ain't Soul Calibur 2? Give us some 3D love, man. Like what we doing? What we doing? I feel like it was other games they could have did. It's just like 3 Capcom games in a row for something we just starting is kind of crazy. Like, don't you want some variety? Like, different. Like Devin said, I mean, bring classic KI Gold would be UMVC3. I mean, UMK3. Like that would be fantastic. It's not like you ain't got options. Like, I mean, shoot, Mortal Kombat needs some help. My bad. I ain't
Shaq
say that.
Fu.
I ain't had
Jeez,
to say that.
Shaq Fu. Oh man,
I mean,
That's a
it's
real
other
classic
stuff you
game.
could have done. So, I understand why MVC2 is there, but that don't mean I gotta like it, and I don't like it.
You just gotta
So,
accept it, man.
I mean, of course, that's easy for you to say. Now, if they had to put Virtual Fighter 2 there or something like that, you'd be on here spazzing.
I won't be spazzing. It's a classic. It's a very pivotal and a very influential classic fight game. I ain't gonna have no problem with that.
It's your first
Would
time
I
actually
watch
saying
it? That's debatable, but
that. Moon Jump
I'm trying to
Central.
see somebody get infinite, man. That's what I'm trying. I'm trying to see some guard breaks, bro. I'm
Well,
trying to see
load up
somebody not
NBC
play the game.
collection. It shouldn't be at Evo. We need some more variety. We
Nah,
need
bro.
we need a at least a 3D game. Come on, Evo.
yeah.
Now, next thing you know, next year come out and the Capcom collection come out, they be like, well, CV. And then I don't want to sound like this because I like CV. I'm not gonna say CVS2 is a
Oh, what
better
happened to the
game than
CVS2,
MVC2,
man?
but I will say CVS2. I like CVS2 more than MVC2. I mean, and I would hate to be that person next year to just be like, man, it's just been too many Capcom games. We can't do CVS2, but I might have to say that it's just been too many I want to see something else, bro. I just want to see. I just want. I just want to see something else. I'm sorry. Anybody else got anything there?
You know, that's actually a fair statement to make, because it's like, yeah, out of after a point, it's like, how many times are we going to see, like, you know, just Capcom games in that slot? You know, it's like, yeah, I mean, there are other games out there, like you guys were saying before, like it's a Mortal Kombat 3, like, you know, I mean, like saying Power Stone, like, well, you know, Virtual Fighter 2, like Soul Calibur 2, you know, all of these games that are kind of floating around out there. I mean, you could just as easily, I mean, take like some old, maybe some games that are a little bit more obscure too, right? Like, um, I mean, I know that people might not be amenable to this 100%, but you know, like the Melty Blood, like Act Cadenza, you know, game. I mean, that game's decently, I would say, a decently classic game at this point. You could put that game in there, like slot that game in immediately. Like, I think that game was actually pretty good, especially like the last version they did. I don't know if it's like version B or C or whatever. They have the same naming scheme as, like, you know, 2D fighters. You know how it goes. Um, you know, go back to like the old Guilty Gears X2 and stuff like that. Like, I mean, there are plenty of other games, you know, that have nothing to do with Capcom that you could easily, you know, put up there. So yeah, I guess like there are a lot of choices, and it just sometimes it feels like the pool that we pull from is like really limited, actually. And it's like, why is it that we feel so limited when the actual choice, the actual list, the actual pool for real is actually very expansive?
I'm rooting for Naruto Ultimate Ninja 3 next year before a Capcom game.
That'd be nice.
That'd be
We'll be
dope.
rooting a while for that one.
What else? What else? I ain't gonna be too disrespectful. You know, I love to throw out Barbie Dream House, but you know, I ain't gonna say that.
Bruh.
But it just we need to, like, we been Capcomed out, bro. Like, come on now, like, no, like, we know Capcom is basically like the best fighting game. Oh my goodness, like, y'all could have did, like, since Fatal Fury coming back, y'all could have did like KO. I mean, we go saying like SNK ain't got no classics. Like, shoot, bring back KOF 13. My God, I want to see that again. Maybe Tokido will come back and put some hands on that. That'd be dope.
Bring back
Uh,
KOF 2002.
give
Or
let's get Child High another free ring.
how
I
about
want to see
Maximum
KOF
Impact?
11. How
What'd
about
you,
no?
what'd you say, Devin?
I said I want KOF 11. That's the one I want to see.
No.
I know E just to say Maximum Impact.
Yeah, Maximum Impact.
You gonna have a
Maximum
maximum.
Impact.
You gonna have a maximum entrance of 5 people if that's the case.
Yeah, they'll all be really good too. So the matches will be
Like starting with top 5 is like, bruh, you ain't got no pools.
short, sweet, and to the point, bro. That's how you do it,
I
man.
mean, I wonder a voted based one. Like I would assume that the extended list is probably more voter based than like the top, because the top list is like just the games that are like the most relevant right now for the most part. But I wonder is that list, like especially I was about to say the Capcom spot,
See, you tell
the,
him what you think.
the classic spot. I wonder is
Freudian
that
slip.
voted on, like, because I mean it would make sense. I don't know, but like I said, when you think about classics, what does it start with?
Soul Calibur
The
2.
letter C. I mean,
Tekken
S
2.
and C are definitely in the word classic, but I said the first letter of Capcom and classic, what did they start with? A C. So I don't know. Capcom got a lot of classics, man. But I mean, there are other games out there. I mean, you get War Gods, you got Mace the Dark Age. I don't
Man, I
even
want to
really
see some Tekken Tag Tournament 2. That's what I want to see. Bring that back, man.
I mean I really see Tekken. I mean, I feel like Tekken Tag 1 probably take that, because I consider that more of a classic than 2, just because it's older. Like, I mean, Tekken Tag 2 is old, but I don't know. It's just because you gotta have a game that's gonna garner, like, to have people that are still super actively playing. Not to say people aren't playing these other games, but it's like now that you've released these games for Capcom, people have more of a way to actually play these games like consistently now that want to play them. So that could be part of it.
Well, if you
Just the fact
bringing,
that now,
go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
I'm about to say, well, if you bringing that up, then this throwback game ain't going on for too long because you finna run out of old classic games that got a big player base. I mean, they might be classics, but ain't nobody still playing them. I mean, what else you got after this? You got CVS2,
X-Men vs Street Fighter,
X.
Marvel Super Heroes.
Man, ain't nobody playing all them consistently for to just bring them back every year.
Like,
You gonna bring them back to back to back. It's basically it would be almost like saying you bringing back the same game. Just call it the Capcom Tag Fighter Classic then.
But it's not that. It's the classic spot.
I mean,
They just haven't picked another game
Tekken
yet.
Tag, I'm sure would bring back numbers. I'm not sure like older KI would bring back numbers. I mean, this recent KI, I'm not sure older one would bring back big numbers. Like, I don't know. I think you're finna run out of like spots that's gonna bring back like big numbers to make it like a main stage game. Like, you finna run out of that.
I don't know, man. I think you bring KI back, you be like, people gonna be like, what? I'm telling you, Max, he mentioned that channel that has like, you think like people playing like competitive SNES KI, and it's like getting thousands, 10,000 views. Like, what?
You think a lot of people? You think like you think 500 people go sign up to play SNES KI at EVO?
That's a possibility.
That's
a beloved game, man. That's a beloved franchise.
I don't know about that, man.
I do not see that happening.
So 500 people come to play Soul Calibur 2.
I mean, what old school classic games do you think would crack? Like, I mean, they Capcom and I mean, Street Fighter 3 Third Strike set the bar. They hit 1,000. I don't know too many games that's gonna come back hitting like 600, 700.
So maybe that's our issue
I'll
right
be
there.
honest, Soul Calibur 2 a classic. I think I think it hit 500 at EVO? I mean, maybe. I'm not sure though.
I don't think so. I'm sorry. I like Soul Calibur too, but I don't. It's like, it's because number one, it's like we have to have the amount of the players in place to begin with, right? But then like, how many of those players can actually make it to Vegas?
Yeah.
I mean, hey.
So I think CVS2, Tekken Tag 2, maybe like Tekken 3 or Tekken 5 would probably hit a good number. I don't think no anime fighter would do it. Like old school. I mean, the newer ones like I don't know. I feel like
that might be what they thinking. What you just said. That's probably the same conversation they have. Like, man, this ain't going.
Well, I mean, you the one who started it. Y'all the one to put yourself in the corner. So what you go do about 4 Capcom games, a Soul Calibur, attacking, maybe a third one, and then end it with like 4 out of the 7 games being Capcoms, and then you end it. It's like that wasn't. I mean, I ain't want to go for that ride. I mean, it was cool. It came back. It was a nice blip in time, but like, it was the Capcom Classic when it's gonna be over with. People gonna be calling it the Capcom Classic. Then they're gonna be mad like, man, it wasn't the Capcom Classic. It was the Throwback event. No, it's the Capcom Classic.
Got a good ring to it, man.
Man, look.
I mean, I don't know, man. I would like. I mean, there's definitely other games that could be up there, but at the end of the day.
And anyway, so we going on to our next topic.
Please.
I'm just saying, man.
But that's crazy to think like some of our top 5 fighting games of all time, like if they came back, they wouldn't pull like decent numbers.
So if they put Street Fighter Alpha 3 in there, you gonna be like, man, why they got Street Fighter Alpha 3 in there, man? You see what I'm saying? Now he look different though. You got white geek kid on the screen like the.
I mean, but we talking about Alpha 3 though. You can't do that. Like, you can't say that.
Bro. It's a Capcom game, man. That game was developed by Capcom.
Hey, I'm rooting for the Capcom Classic. Then we talking about Alpha 3.
Crazy.
Alpha 3
gonna go crazy when you see somebody on the screen pick Ken. He do the little.
Bro, what?
Come on, bro.
Man,